Hey everybody, I'm going to try this again. I'm going to do it differently than I did last time because we had some sort of technical glitch about 8 minutes in. I was almost done doing this Facebook Live, so now I'm going to do it again. So if you're joining me here, welcome. Glad that you're here from my office at my home, not at Remarkable House like you might often see me. So if you don't know, we often do these Facebook Lives and then translate them and turn them into a later cast on our Remarkable Leadership podcast. So that's what we're going to do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1 second. I'm going to pause and we're going to actually start this for real because it'll be, again, used later on our Remarkable Leadership podcast. Okay, so here we go. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Kevin on Facebook Live, today from his home office and later cast on the Remarkable Leadership Podcast, remarkablepodcast.com, for those of you on Facebook. Glad that you're here. Now, I just did most of this Facebook Live a few minutes ago, and then there was a technical problem. So I'm doing it again, and hopefully it will go well. Maybe I'll be better because I'm doing it a second time. There's maybe a lesson for us all there. My topic today, my focus today, is on power and leadership. Two words that are inextricably linked, two words that are connected in almost every way. And if you think about the word leadership, you often think about power. And the place where most of us start is the fact that, well, as a leader, as a manager, as a supervisor, I have some positional power. And if you're thinking that, you'd be right. There's something that comes to us because of our position that gives us some power. However, I don't believe that in the end, leadership is about a role or a position, but rather about actions that we take. In other words, we're only leading if people choose to follow. So if we stop with, well, there's power that comes as a leader because of our position, if we stop there, we're missing almost everything that we ought to be thinking about. Because I believe at the end of the day, how we as leaders think about this is a choice. We had a little bit of a flub there, maybe. I hope that all comes out okay. So I'll say that again. What we think about as leaders in relationship to power and leadership is a choice, and we must think about that choice. And I believe it comes down to basically two choices. And the first one is what I'm going to call the choice of power grab. Yeah, I want to grab onto the power. I want to hold on to it. I've been given it. I've earned it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to get as much of it as I can. I'm going to hold on to it dearly because it's valuable. And man, I want it. And I'm being a little bit cynical, but that's a little bit about how we often see leaders, right? Trying to hold on to that power. That power grabbed, a power grab is all about control. It's often about our ego. It's sometimes about what we think we're supposed to do because we don't have any other context. I know lots of leaders who say, I don't really know how I'm supposed to do this. So the way I end up doing it is what I've seen before. Even if what I've seen before isn't all that red hot, even if what I've seen before isn't all that great. Wow, that's an interesting thought in and of itself, isn't it? So the reality is that if we make the choice of trying to grab onto the power, trying to hold onto the control, it looks like command and control. It looks like a dictatorship. It looks like I'm in charge. It looks like I want to make sure that here's how we're going to do it. Now, when we take this approach, and probably all of us take that approach at least a little bit, at least some of the time, but about the most we can expect from that place of a power grab, from that place of a control approach, is about the most we can expect is compliance. We're not going to get much more than just compliance. And so I don't think compliance is really all what we really want from our folks. And yet that's often what people will say, well, we got compliance. We're getting things done. I think there's another choice that we can make. And maybe you've never thought about this choice or this dichotomy until tonight. One of the reasons why I'm doing this, I want you to think about this choice, and I want you to consider the second option. The second option, if the first option is the power grab, the second option is the power is granted to us. By whom? By others, by those who choose to follow. See, the reality is that while the power grab might be about our ego, power granted comes from a place of humility, comes from a place of not taking things for granted, not assuming things, recognizing that we have a voice and we have a place, and it's only valuable if people choose to follow. And if they choose to follow, the results can be significantly different, right? So if the power grab is about ego and control, power granted is about humility and influence. See, as a leader, we are in the place, if we think about our job as a place of influence, about helping people make a choice to follow, helping people make a choice that's in alignment with what we're trying to accomplish organizationally, or that is in alignment with the purpose that we're trying to reach for as a leader, then man, we've got a whole different situation, don't we? See, influence is harder than control, thou shalt, versus influence. But the reality is, with the power grab, about the best we can hope for is compliance. But with power being granted to us by others, we might get a whole lot of commitment. Think about that for a second. Would you rather have compliance or commitment? Think about situations for yourself. Where do you give more effort? Where are you at your best? When you feel like you're complying, yes, ma'am, or when you are committed to the outcomes, making the choices that say, I'm in, raising my hand and saying, I'm in. Isn't that what we really want, is commitment? We're not going to get commitment by making the choice to grab the power. We're going to get commitment through influence by having power granted to us by our team. Here's the reality. The reality is that at the end of the day, leadership is a very, very big responsibility. We have a responsibility for our team members, and we have a responsibility for reaching the outcomes that either we have set or we have been a part of setting, or we're being asked to move toward. We have a big, big responsibility. We can't shoulder that all alone. We've got a much better chance of success if others come along behind us and say, I'm in, I'll follow you, I'm in for that. And so that's all about power being granted. And so I believe we have a choice as leaders to think about how we're going to think about power and how we're going to deal with it. And the choice is this. Do we think about leadership as being power grabbed, or leadership as power granted to us by others through their action? There's a big difference between control and influence. There's a big difference between compliance and commitment. And that's the choice we're making. We may not realize we're making, but when we choose to think about leadership and power as a place of something that is granted to us by others, it's not something that we own, but it's something that comes to us as a result of work we do and choices others make, then we've got a chance to make a real difference as a leader. And that's what I wanted to share with you tonight. I hope it was useful. A number of people have joined me, and I appreciate that. If you've got any questions, I'll be happy to take them. I'm about ready to close, but if you've got a question, I'll answer them. Let me close again by saying that it's a choice that we have as leaders. Are we going to try to grab power, or are we going to allow power to be granted to us by our team? Are we going to be willing to live in a world of influence as opposed to being focused on trying to take control, which is often a misnomer anyway? So let me just say this, that I appreciate you joining me, whether you've been with me live or whether you're listening to me later. And I want to close by letting you know about something that I'm doing on October the 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, October the 21st. I'm doing a webinar called It Takes More Than Skills to Be a Remarkable Leader. And if you think about what we've just talked about, I really haven't talked about any skills. I've talked about a choice, and I've talked about a mindset, just a small part of what we're going to talk about on that webinar, one of the most valuable and important webinars I've ever created. It's called It Takes More Than Skills to Be a Remarkable Leader. It's free, October the 21st, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Just go to kevineikenberry.com/way, W-A-Y, kevineikenberry.com/way. If you're on the Facebook, you'll see it there on the side. You can click it, and for free, you can join me on October the 21st. I hope you'll do that. I really do. And I hope that you'll think about the relationship between power and leadership and our choice that we can make. And I hope that you make a conscious one, and that the choice that you make leads you to great results. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you all soon.